So this is it's amazing. Baruch Hashem, Chanukah Sameach, Chag Sameach. The truth is, this is about Sephardi women. It's all about Sephardi women. It started with a Sephardi woman, my wife. You thought you're only going to hear Chachma. I live Chachma. I married a Sephardi girl, Baruch Hashem. And there are certain perks that come with it. My oldest daughter is here with me tonight. The one who looks most Sephardi. I brought her. I left all the blonde, blue-eyed ones at home. I brought my Sephardi one. We were talking last night about shidduchim and what's necessary, what do you need in the marriage. Just my wife and my daughter and myself. And my daughter asked, is mommy like, do you find in mommy the depth when you talk about hashkafa? Is she there with you? Like, are you in line? I said, no, we're not. I said, but I have something else. There's a Sephardi simplicity of emunah and betachon that I found in her that just is unmatched by whatever chachmas I can come up with, and I can quote this sefer and do that sefer and come up with a great wisdom. And she's like, I don't know. I believe in Hashem. I don't know. Like, it's nice, whatever you're saying. It's fancy. I believe in Hashem. Zehu. He's my best friend. I talked to my wife about his bodedut. I said, what are you talking about? Hashem's my best friend. I talked to him all day. I don't know, you go, his bodedut. I don't know what you're talking about. I talked to Hashem all day. He's my best friend. I was telling my partner this morning, I say I'm going out to Queens to speak to, I know it's not only Sephardim here, so a few Ashkenazim leaked in. But predominantly we're in Od Yosef Chai. I said, there's nothing better. If you want an ego boost, you go speak to Sephardi women. Because you don't need words of wisdom. Just need some guy up here that calls himself rabbi, other people call rabbi. And a few weeks ago I was speaking at a Kiruv Girls Shabbaton. I did an Onek Shabbat with them, a Tish with them. So I said something, I don't remember what we were talking about exactly, but I gave a bracha. I gave a bracha about people should get married and so on. And right then and there, you had the difference between Ashkenaz and the Sephardi girls. I know who right away. All of a sudden, I heard, like, let's say there were 25, 30 girls there, about 15 girls. Amen, amen, Baruch Hashem, thank you. And the Ashkenaz are like, thank you. Just very cerebral. You walk in with a Sephardi place, Chazaq, there's music playing. Yeah, I don't even you notice it, because like this is how you live. But it's like, Ashkenazim, it's just like, are you ready to begin? Can we take notes? There's no notes here. Look, I love it. Maybe one or two people with notes, it's Ashkenazim. It just goes with the heart. Okay. I said, I'm Hungarian. I'm with you, but we got to admit it. I sit every single Shabbat next to my best friend, next to Charlie Harari in shul, and I have to hear it all the time. He's like, stop it, Shalom Yona. Come to the dark side. Come. Over LA, he's like, Shalom Yona, you got to come. Come one time, slichot. Come with me, slichot. You're never going to go back. Happens, my wife always talks all the time. She's like, when we're in Eish Kodesh, there's, Od Yosef Chai is a wonderful shul. I don't know much about it. You can't top Eish Kodesh. I drove this Israeli guy home today. He knocked on my window. I guess he felt he was in Israel. In Woodmere, I'm pulling out from shul. He knocks on my window. Can I get a ride? In Hebrew, I said, all right. So I give him a ride home, and he said, this is Ein Kamohu, this place. And there's nothing like it, Baruch Hashem. My wife always says, though, she misses the Sephardi davening. She misses the Nigunim, it's something different. So the truth is we are here because of my wife. That's the truth, and it was about 5 years ago. I feel we're going to give Akar Sotov to everybody, so let's start with that. Akar Sotov to Chazaq, Rabbi and the team. Rabbi's, I always ask, I don't know if he ever goes home. He's at some organization. If he's not at an organization or at a thing, then he's calling me about one or calling some other rabbi about one. I have 16 messages a day. They never stop. And Ornava, the shul here, Od Yosef Chai, it's a beautiful name, Od Yosef Chai for a Kahila. Torah Anytime, Rebbetzin Yaghoubi. She's here? Rebetzin's here?
Not yet.
Oh, she's coming. Okay. So partnering up again with me for doing this. And to say Lila Nishmas, He wasn't my Rebbe, but I always called him Rebbe, and I loved him dearly, and I miss him very, very much. Rabbi Zechariah Shimon ben Rabbi Yitzchak, Zecher Tzaddik, Kadosh V'Racha, Rav Wallerstein, who were all living in his shadow, to thank him for his hashpah on me and my family. I had the zchus to spend some time with him, to speak and to be involved with him and his organizations, and ein kamohu, mamash ein kamohu. But it was about 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago, and I was, my wife did say something to that effect of, I don't understand, we're getting together, we have all these community events, and everything's just around something. We have to get together to inspire, we have to get together to thank, to daven, to ask, to plead, to Tehillim, to fix, Lashon Hara. She says, why don't we just say thanks? That's it, Zehu. Come into a room, a bunch of Jewish people, and then after speaking with my Rebbe, Rav Moshe Weinberger Shlita, he's like, just do it with women. Forget about guys. Let's try to get done what we can get done. It's going to be the women, and that's it. So we always made it a women's event. And my wife said it, and I was giving weekly shiurim, Baruch Hashem, on Torah anytime, and it was to women. And some of the girls said, okay, so when are you going to do this event? Because guys speak about it, and girls say, enough speaking about it, let's do it. You give a shiur to guys, and you say, this is what we have to work on and do and whatever, and then the next week you talk about it again. You give it to women, and we're like, okay, we did that, now what? What do you mean you did it? We're just talking. No, we did it. So the Lamaisa, the girls pushed me, Baruch Hashem. They said, okay, so when are you doing it? So when you get pushed to do something, you call Chazaq and say, okay, I want to get this done, i.e. you should get it done, and tell me when and where to be. And that's how it started, Baruch Hashem. So I really do want to thank Chazaq. And the first year it was us in Eish Kodesh, and every year, and I'm not going to go through the years right now, but every year we took on a different, or at least I did, took on a different aspect of Hakaras HaTov. Because that's what it's about. So the first year, and that's all I'm going to speak about, and then we'll progress to this year. The first year we did speak about just learning how to be thankful for being alive, for being a Jew. Zehu. And then we went into specificities of it the next year in the White Shul, and then on the Zoom, and then last year here. So this year I want to take on another aspect. I wouldn't even call it an aspect, I'd call it a level. And the truth is, coming back to how we started, I don't know if I could get away with this, with the faint of heart, otherwise known as Ashkenaz. I don't know. You know, my Rebbe used to give shiur here for years. My Rebbe was a Rebbe in Ezra Academy. He had a lot of Sephardi students. And he used to give a shiur for the Sephardim. I believe it was Rabbi Ben Chaim that was there. I'm not sure who the Rav was, but he said he'd be giving shiur. The men were all facing him. And the rabbi in the back, the Sephardi rabbi in the back, would go like, get them. You got it harder. Because my Rebbe's sweet and Ashkenaz and Hasidic and everything. Hashem loves you. And he goes, no, they're burning Gehenna. No, get him. Gotta give him to hard. So there's a certain constitution you need to receive what we're about to talk about. And it's a message that you see in the Svarim all over the place. And it's really the message of Yiddishkeit in Gullus. It's an in Gullus message. Mirz Hashem, this message is going to be over ubatel. It will not be applicable, not in the same sense, at least very, very soon with the coming of Mashiach Tzidkeinu Meher V'Yameinu. But until then, and as long as this long night of Gullus is going on, we need to hear this message. And we need to think about it. And ultimately, in some way, it's a high level, it's a deep level, in some way put it into practice. Years ago I went to, I was actually just speaking about this with someone at Nornava. I gave a series of classes at Arnava the last few weeks. And I was speaking about this idea. I went to go see Rav Busu, Shlita. Rav Busu is Baba Sali's grandson, and I have a, Baruch Hashem, Zechiti to have a close connection with him. And I was speaking with him quite a few years ago about a certain aspect of my life that I needed bracha in, something I had been struggling with for a long time. And he told me the very thing I was asking him You know, you would go to the rabbi, you go to the tzaddik, and you say, get rid of this. I don't want this in my life. He says, no. Thank Hashem for it. I said, no, that's nice. I don't want it. I'm not thanking, I don't want it. When I thank Hashem, if you're thanking Hashem for it, that means you want it. He says, no, of course you want it. And he said, imagine if you would, chas v'shalom, a person does, I don't want to say you, a person does an avera, a person does something that is chayiv mita, chayiv death. You go into the courtroom, and it's clear that this person deserves death. And the judge is familial. The judge is family with the guy. And the judge looks at him, and he says, you know what? Really, really, this guy's got to go. But I love him, and I'm the judge, and I have the power, and I'm just going to give community service. Hard community service, picking up garbage in the streets in the hot days, embarrassing with the red jumpsuit, the whole thing. But that's what he's going to have to do. He said, imagine that person while doing that community service, knowing that they're really supposed to be chayiv mita. How would they approach that community service? Singing in the rain, everything would be roses, it would be happy, it would be bluebirds, it could be the hottest, worst, picking up the most disgusting stuff, and he's going to love it. It's all about perspective. And when I told this person at Ornav, I don't want to give away this person's story. I didn't get permission to. But the person told me the person went through, she said, that's crazy. She said, you know, I went to Rabusa also. I went to a lot of tzaddikim. This person had a tragedy in their lives. And Rabusa told this person, it's actually a woman, he told this woman, you have to be thankful. And she turned to her husband, and she's like, thankful? I'm just trying to accept it. Thankful for this tragedy. It was a very, very tough tragedy. I can't get there. She said she fast forwarded a few years, not a few years, about 2 years. And during COVID, her downstairs neighbor, she lives in a neighborhood with the houses attached, and the downstairs neighbor was an old lady. And this old lady, the family would come visit, but because of COVID, they were very, very, very careful. So they would drive up down the street, and they would, from the car, wave or do something different each time, or sing. So one time, she said, I was by my window, and she was still dealing with this tragedy in her family. And she said she looked outside, and the sunroof was open, and there was a little girl outside the sunroof. And they were singing, there was a song playing, and she was singing to her grandmother, to her 90-something-year-old bubby that was sitting inside the house, and they couldn't. And the song was one of the Thank You Hashem song. Thank you Hashem. And the little girl is doing it. Thank you Hashem. And she said, she started thinking back to what Rabusu told her. And she said it was like 2 years later. And she just flooded. All the tears. She said, I thought I was totally dry and empty. And I just started crying hysterical and feeling a thankfulness for Hashem. What does this mean? What does it mean to be thankful for the difficult times? It's the essence of Chanukah. It's the essence of Yaakov and Yosef, the Parshas. That's why Chanukah comes out during this time. And it's really, you know, Rav Arush has been speaking about it a tremendous amount over the last few years as well. It's very much found in the Brussels Sfarim. It's the key, Be'emet, it's the key to not experiencing the tragedies, difficulties, challenges, and darkness of the world. Somehow, by embracing it, by loving it, it's hard. It's a very, very high madrega. What we're going to talk about tonight, ulai v'ulai, and I think, if I may say so here, we have a good chance of at least saying the words. And the more we say the words, and then at some point in our lives, you're going to walk by a Thank You Hashem song, and it'll just sink in. That's the way it's going to work. You know, if you look tonight, I was davening Mincha Ma'ariv in my shul, and I was watching the candles. I have the schus, I sit pretty much right up front, and it was right by the menorah, and I noticed something very interesting. If you, do they have candles lit here? Really should have candles lit for this. It's actually, it could be halacha to have it done. It's a public gathering on Hanukkah. You light the candles. So, if you look at a candle lit, the little flame, you ever notice the base of it? You know where the brightness is? The brightness is on top. Imagine a candle. The brightness is on top, and then it's like bulbous, and then at the bottom, between the wick, its source of fuel, and the fire, it's like a black space. You notice that? Watch your candles when you go home. There's a black space. There's a darkness. The fire only goes above that dark, empty space. There's nothing there. It doesn't. I mean, don't put your finger there. But it doesn't look like there's anything there. Pach achas shel shemen. The Gemara says that they came and they searched and they didn't find anything. The lashon is they didn't find except one pach shel shemen. And the Mefarshim and Medayik, they're very specific. They say the Gemara is really saying that really, Timu kol hashmanim, because Chazal don't work like us. We say all, and we mean maybe 10%. We say everybody, and really what happened was it's like 3 people. We say this never happens to me, and like it happens pretty often. I get a call if I get a call from somebody. This is the typical conversation. I get a call from a young lady. Everybody always hates me. Wow, everybody. I said, do you know how many people are in the world? No, how many? 8 billion. 8 billion people hate you? When did you have the time to meet them? Even if you go on Facebook all day, not all 8 billion are on Facebook. Can we agree that perhaps you didn't meet all 8 billion people in the world? Yeah, okay. So let's knock down the number to where? What are we talking about? 1 billion? No. 100 million. 100 million people? No. 1 million? No. 1,000? Maybe. You maybe met 1,000 people through your entire life. So we just, I don't know, do the math somebody. 8 billion to 1,000, we went down a lot of percentage. How many of them know? Who said, how do you know? It ends up like 2 girls, in the words of my future yeshivish son-in-law, shtacht her out. Shtacht her out. And that's all the time, and that's we use these lashonos, which parenthetically, just a quick relationship advice, is never use absolutes. They're always not true. There's one absolute in the world. The Rabbi Shalom. The Zehu. Everything else has even Kol Yisrael Yeshem, except Chazal will use that lashon and then they'll always back it up. But if Chazal doesn't back out of it and they say the word Kol, then they mean Kol. All. They're not us. Chazal, it's the words of Hashem, brought down through the Rabbanim. V'timu kol hashmanim, they were metama, all the oils, means there was literally no oil that wasn't tummy. It was complete darkness. It was everything done. It was the worst of the worst. But Klal Yisrael is built to face a challenge, and the deeper, darker, and stronger that challenge, the deeper, brighter, and stronger the energy we're given to overcome that challenge. If you were to, want to do an exercise? It's exercise time. Let's get the blood flowing. Take your hands and put them, just came into my head. Take your hands and put them under the table in front of you. And I'm a little worried actually there's hot water. Put them under the table in front of you. Under the table in front of you. Don't tip over the table, but use your kochot, use your energy to lift up the table a little bit. Okay, now feel your arm while you're doing it. That's called a muscle. Now put your hands on top of the table and try to access that same muscle. You can't. Why? Because there's nothing opposing. Hashem built the world that to access energies and muscles, there has to be an opposing force. Without the opposing force, without the weight, without the gravity, without something pushing back, you do not find and you cannot access inner power and inner strength and inner light. I remember we were at the Pesach program with Rabbi Wallerstein Zecher Tzaddik Al Shabracha. And it was one of the greatest chus of my life. It was a panel. It was myself, Rabbi Wallerstein, Charlie Harari, and Jackie Bitone. So I was like that scrub that somehow found his way on like an amazing team. Like everybody else got injured and they're like, oh man, I mean we need 5. We can't play without 5. Weiss. And the coach is like, I don't know, just tells the rest of the team, just pass him the ball once and it'll be okay. Just pass him the ball once. I told him not to shoot and not to do anything. So a young lady was there and she raises her hands and she asked a question. And as she asked the question, which was directed towards me, Rabbi Wallerstein Zatzal leans over to me and says, this girl has the craziest story I've ever heard. Now, if you know anything about Rabbi Wallerstein Zatzal, he's heard some doozies. He's heard it all. In fact, he brought this young lady only 2 weeks before she had come to him, and he said, you're coming to my Pesach program. He brought her and her daughter, and we had subsequently, after the Yom Tov, I kept in touch with her, still somewhat in touch with her. We've had her for Shabbos with her daughter. Wow, it's incredible she gets up in the morning, really. Parenthetically, she's Sephardi. I think we renamed this year Ode to Sephardim. So she asked a question, a very tough question. I actually, at the end of this, I'm going to share something with you. It was one of this woman's writings that I answered her question with. I happened to have it on me. Happened. And we spoke more over that time, and this is what I told her after as follows. And this is really the Ikar of Hanukkah. This is what we're working on tonight, and then we'll finish up and get you the main attraction, Rebbetzin Yaghoubi, and the music. I told her that pain is a shovel. It's a gift of a shovel. Now, if someone presents you with a shovel, there are 2 things you could do with it. It's a heavy, maybe rusty, dirty shovel. You could carry it around on your back because you were given it and you have to have it, and walk around and then always complain about this stinking, dirty, rusty, heavy shovel that I have to carry around, or you could use it. And you could start digging in the ground. Now, all the precious things in this world, diamonds, metals, gold, oil, everything, not the oil from the shemen, but even that requires pressure. Everything, think about it, all precious things in this world have to be dug for. You got to dig deep down. And the diamonds require years of tremendous intense pressure to create. Why would Hashem, everything that we see in this world is a manifestation of the spiritual world. So if it's happening in the physical world, Hashem is saying this is how it works in Beruchniyut also. I said you've been given the gift of a tremendous, difficult shovel that nobody davens for. But if you're getting it, it means Hashem is telling you, I believe there's a lot more there. I believe there's diamonds and there's oil and there's precious gems that you need to get to, but you need to dig. And most people don't dig if they don't have a shovel. And the darker that our lives are, the bigger that shovel that is. So if it's Timul Kol Hashmanim, there's no oil left. Klal Yisrael wasn't just digging for oil. If the Gemara tells us they were digging for oil, and they found the Pach Shemen, Otiot Neshama, it means that Hanukkah is a time to embrace our challenges, to say, wow, there's nowhere to turn. This looks totally like, there's nothing I could do here. Because you know what happens when people face a reality of, I can't overcome this sickness, this loneliness, this sadness, this poverty, this challenge. They turn back to Hashem. And to turn back to Hashem in a real way requires really developing the neshama. And at the end of the day, Kiras Elokim Li Tov. The first time we have the word Tov in the Torah is the first time by Ar. Vayar Hashem Ar Ki Tov. By that Tov, there are four 4 crowns. You don't find by those crowns anywhere else in the Torah by a test. Usually there are only 3 crowns. There are 4 crowns by that first test. And the Bnei Yissaschar brings down 4 times test is 9, is 36. It's 36 candles of Hanukkah found by the first test in the Torah. And as Arizal teaches us, and Rav Tzadok teaches, that the first time you find something in the Torah, that's it. That's all the secrets are found in that first place. So the essence of good is the 36 candles of Hanukkah that we light. It's because Or Hashem, excuse me, because Kirvas Elokim Li Tov, because the ultimate good is closest to God. And that's light. So Hanukkah, which is we need to, and we do, not only do we need to, we think. We thank Hashem for the battles. What do you think Hashem for the battles? Do you think Hashem to win the battles? No. The battle itself, the Yevanim's darkness, we thank Hashem for. If you look through Mizmar Shir Chunukas Habayis, I thought I brought a Tehillim. I put a Tehillim down there? Maybe I left it in the car. If you look through Mizmar Shir Chunukas Habayis LeDavid, I know the Svardim said, I think the Svardish minhag is, yeah, that's it, thank you. I believe the Svardim say it's pasuk by pasuk in the morning. Does anyone know if I'm correct about that? I saw it brought down. I know Babav does, and Svardim minhagim is to say it pasuk by pasuk. The Ashkenaz, we say it at the end of davening. Svardim say it after the Shir Shel Yom. But I believe during Psukei de Zimra, I guess this is not there's one other guy here. Are you Svardi? Okay. I've been bashing our people the entire time. Not really, I'm praising them, but if you look through Mizmar Shir Chunukas Habayis, now the reason why we say it, there's something to do with the 13 psukim, the 13 breaches in the wall. That's brought down as well. This is why the Svardim break it up and say pasuk by pasuk. But it's brought down in halacha that we say Mizmar Shir Chunukas Habayis David Kapitel Lamed, Perek Lamed, and Tehillim, because it mentions Shir Chanukas Habayis. That's what happened. We were mechanech Hashem's house. But when you look through the Mizmar, it's unbelievable. The entire thing, the entire tefillah, is really about thanking Hashem for the darkness. Arumimcha Hashem kidi lisani. I thank Hashem, I'll exalt you Hashem because you lifted me up. V'lo smachtu aveli, you didn't let my enemies rejoice over me. Hashem lokai shivati elech v'tepeini, you healed me. It's all talking about things where Hashem saved us from difficulty. Hashem alita min shel nafshi, you raised me up from the lower worlds. Chitani mi yardi bar. From my, you gave me life from my descent to the grave. Zamala Hashem chasidav ozeicha kacho, singing to Hashem for His chesed. Now listen to the rest of Psukim. Ki rega be'apo chayim b'tzono, because he has an anger for a moment, but life results from His favor. Be'erev yelem bachi ba'bokarina. In the evening one lies down crying, but with the morning a cry of joy. It's this dichotomy between the darkness, between the difficulty, and the thanking Hashem. And the praise. Hashem birtzoncha hemadat al ariyos. But Hashem, it is only through your favor that you supported my greatness to be mighty. Histarta panecha yitenaval. When you concealed your face, I was confounded. In other words, I got greatness because you concealed your face, because you hid from me, because you made it difficult, because you were matama the kol hashmanim. That gave me the koach to dig deep into the ground and find that one pach shemen. So what really is the hero of Hanukkah? It's the Yevanim. It's the darkness. It's Hashem that gave it to us, obviously. And to realize that Hanukkah, Yosef HaTzadik being in that bar, which the Gemara brings in enigmatically, in the middle of the Gemara talking about all the Hilchas Hanukkah, just throws in this mimer of Yosef was in a bar that was 20 amos, which is 20 amos of the Hanukkah cannot be over 20 amos. The bar of Yosef, Bikesh Yaakov Leisha B'Shalva, Rugzo, Kavso Alav, Rugzo Shal Yosef. Yaakov wanted peace. And Hashem says that tzaddikim want peace in this world. That's not what it's about. That's not what makes you a tzaddik. What makes you a tzaddik is the difficulties. It's the shovels that I'm going to present you in life. So you can look at the shovel, and you can hold on to it. You can even kind of make peace with it. Okay, I got to go with the shovel. We can dig with it. Digging with it means hakarat hatov, means recognizing there's good in that shovel. This is a purposeful tool. And that tool was given to me by the tool master who knows what my kochot are, who knows what's hidden deep inside, who knows what I need, the kick in the pants to do it, and he's given it to me. And he's not just okay with me surface level saying, whatever it is that we go through our lives and end up regular Jews. So when you see a Jew in difficulty, in struggle, it's really Hashem putting a big neon sign saying, I believe in this person. Big time. And we have predominantly, we're okay, there's food on the table. Baruch Hashem, we have roofs on our houses, predominantly, not everybody. We predominantly have good things, yeshivos, mikvos, kosher food, 16 kosher pizza stores within a walk. You should only go to Shimon's, it's Charlie's father, Mo. Support. I love him and you need to support there. But we have as somebody who is quite often the doorstep of these worries and difficulties that people are facing, there's a tremendous amount of pain out there. The darkness is very dark, which is a great simon, because it means we're right before the light. Just like that candle that starts with the darkness and then that's the brightest part. That's how Hashem makes the world. Right before the morning is the darkest light. And Hashem is telling our dar, I believe that there's much more there. More than just going 3 times a day to daven and making sure your skirt is below your... That's nice. But there's much more deep inside. There's a light that I'm waiting for it to shine. I'm waiting to connect with you in the deepest way, like a father to a child. And I can't do that when everything is... You can't do that. You can't get there, get to that deep place that's necessary to truly have kirvat Elokim. Not just yediat Elokim, I know God from afar. I kind of understand Him. I went to Chovot HaLevavot shir. I understand what that means. To feel Him, to have a closeness with Him in a real, palpable way. And the only way that Hashem has in this world, in Galut, again, this is a Galut talk, is to send us shovels. To make our lives filled with tumah on the surface. So that we have to dig deeper to find it. And that means la'akir tatov. To recognize that the good is hidden deep inside. And to recognize that that darkness is a way of telling us, I want you to get more light. On the way here I was remembering, I asked her to send it to me. I don't think she answered. She doesn't check it too often. I want to share with you a writing I mentioned earlier. So, it actually all comes back. I just realized. I met this young lady, I think it was 2018. 2018 at Arnava. Rabbi Wallerstein Zatzal was doing his Avinu Malkeinu tour, and he asked me to fill in for his weekly shir. It was a tremendous chus, and I gave a 4-part series about judging others, if I recall correctly, judging ourselves, judging Hashem. And a young lady came, and she reached out afterwards, and she sent me an email. First one was a bit of a knock. I deserved it. She said, I went to 3 out of the 4 of your... she wrote something like, way too long shirim. Something like that. Okay, I don't know. Am I over the time now? Rebbetzin, what? Okay. Let me finish up. So she wrote to me like this, and she said... she told me that there were a lot of walls built in her lives, and that Baruch Hashem, we succeeded in making a small crack in it. And I responded, and we started a conversation. She ended up sending me a writing of hers, which was really the seed for a new project that Baruch Hashem, I'm calling it a project, not a book, that I'm working on. Really, the project, actually, I have to thank my daughter, was her idea to turn into a project, but it really has to do with very much what we're talking about. It's the avoda part of what we're talking about tonight, about learning how to get deeper and to express ourselves in a deeper way and to connect deeply to others and to ourselves and to their Rebbeinu Shalom. And it's based a lot on this young lady's writings. She shared many with me, but other people have shared their writings, journal entries, tefillos, poems and such with me. And it's an understanding of what that is, and then a workbook section about what does that mean to you, and how do you express it, and when have you felt that way, etc. So this I'm going to share two of her writings with you to give us an understanding. So she wrote to me in December, almost exactly 4 years ago. It's probably about Hanukkah time. I didn't notice this when I printed this out. My energy is depleted. After staying strong and trying to grow, I'm collapsing under the strain of it all. I tried to talk, I tried to think. It all seems worthless. My body is burning with pain, exhausted by my constant search for you amidst the black nights. I didn't read this before. I had some Mom was talking about Hanukkah. And she went through some horribly traumatic stuff in her life, which allowed her to bring tremendous light to the world, because she was a co-founder of an organization that I had the chance to be part of called Ray of Hope, which is a support organization for girls that were, I don't know who listens to this, ages and so on, for girls that suffered what no girl should ever suffer from in their lives, that type of abuse. After waiting to be heard, to be saved, I'm through. I'm tired of the tears, searing pain, tired of feeling so alone, tired of being strong, tired of waiting for God. It seems each time I open my heart to allow Him in, I get pushed away. And each time this occurs, I tumble deep down, yet another bruise on my aching heart as I find myself enveloped in darkness. I'm closing my wall again. As I mentioned to you before, she wrote to me that we cracked a little bit in that wall. I'm closing my wall again, building it taller and stronger, enforced by steel iron gates. This time I won't allow thoughts about Him to enter my mind. It's been too long holding on to hopes, only to have them crumble to dust, leaving my last vestige of hope and belief lying on the ground. That's what she told me. I wrote back 20 minutes later. Oy, what happened? And do you truly believe that you are done? That you have nothing left? That you can't hold on a little longer? What if the health and well-being, both physical and spiritual, of your children are dependent on that answer? Would you not find some hidden reservoir? In Mirz Hashem, when you are truly ready, you will find your bashert and build a beautiful family, and your strength you find now will be a huge determining factor in how and when that family is built. And we continue the conversation. That's what I wrote back to her. She wrote the following. She just texted me right now. Not sure if you need this, but I found it in my phone. When I first met with her, just to give you a little more background, when I first met with her, we ended up meeting in person. I don't want to take too much time to give the details, even though they're special, but when I first met with her, it was dark and gloomy. She almost walked in with a cloud over her. It got darker as she walked in the room. No smile, no life. Other than the fact that she made the effort to come speak to the rabbi. I want ice cream right now. I don't know why. So, it was just me. I just got like vanilla with the chocolate on top. So, Pavlov's dogs, it works. So she came in and she said, miserable, don't want to live, etc., etc. I said, tell me about the last time you smiled. Tell me what happened. So she makes a little smile. I said, I'll tell you. I said, you were talking to somebody that went through the same thing you went through, and you were able to give that person chazaq. Am I right or wrong? She said, you're right. I said, think about that joy, and that's a gift that most people don't get to have. That deep joy of truly helping somebody, which the Sfarim tell us is the deepest joy you could ever have in the world, is to give to others. It's the greatest pleasure in the world, is to give to others. The greater the need for the gift, the greater the giving, etc., it increases that pleasure. So she started smiling. I said, you're going to have a time where you're going to thank Hashem for your shovel. You will. She said, rolls her eyes. I said, I know you think I'm crazy, and that's fine. Join 98% of the people that meet me. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But you will. And I said, I can't wait. I'm so excited for that journey along with you to watch until that happens. This is what she wrote. She's now married with a child, Baruch Hashem, to an unbelievably sweet, wonderful young man who himself went through difficulties. I have to. Rebbetzin, do you mind if I take two more? What are you going to tell me? No? You're not going to tell me no anyway. You're too nice. I totally like. Rebbetzin, do you mind 2 more hours? Okay. This is how she told me she was having the child. This is originally what I printed, and then I really was thinking about this last piece. This is what she wrote to me. As I stand in candlelight, I begin to cry for all the blessings that have suddenly come into my life. I think back to where I was a year ago. How could so many things change so quickly? From a state of depression, a world of pain and hurt, nights of suffering, wanting to let it all go, suddenly morphed into a world I could have only dreamed of. A world I never imagined I would partake in. As I stare into the candles, the same candles I've been lighting every Shabbos for so many years, no matter if I kept Shabbos or not, I know that those same candles, that they brought me home. And the Shabbos candles, Hanukkah candles, they're different, but they have a lot of similarities. Every single Friday night I would cry, begging God to end this life of misery. And now here I am thanking Him for the blessings, for the new life that's forming in me. This is how she told me that she was expecting. It's unfathomable to me how at my lowest point, the Timul Kol Hashmanim, the point where I wanted to end it all, that became the turning point. God breathed hope into me. And now as I stare into the candles, I know that those lights, the fire will be the guiding light for my child as well. No matter what I've gone through, those candles flicker strong. They serve as a reminder that I too can go through hell and fire and come out stronger. I'm remembering like the joy I had when I read this. Dear child in me, don't despair. When you're ready to give up hope, let the Shabbos candles bring you back home. And I'll end with this last reading of hers. But this is the Ikar, or the Ikar. Daddy. Now, it took her years till she could call Hashem Daddy because of issues in her own relationship with fathers. I haven't written a long time to you. I haven't written a sincere, honest letter expressing my thoughts and emotions. I've been busy. Busy with work, with life, and with love. Over the past few months, you've blessed me with the ability to heal. Heal myself and in return heal my relationships with others. I suddenly had room in my heart to love again, to love myself, to love those around me, and most importantly, to love life. A heart that was wrapped and locked behind several tons of metal walls became a little heart that broke free and started to blossom under the sun. The pain that has been present in my every move and turn has suddenly become pain that I'm doing very well without. The trauma that has affected my ability to function has moved aside to make room for other thoughts, happy thoughts, exhilarating feelings. There's still pain and there's still trauma, but the feelings associated with it are no longer present and no longer focused on it. Daddy, I didn't even know that it was possible for me to ever love again, to heal again, to help others love and heal, which she has done a tremendous amount of it. But what I did know was that you can do anything. During the blackest nights, the most painful times, the days where I wished for it to end, through it all, I've clung to you. Because nothing makes us cling to Hashem as strong as when we have nothing else to cling to. Tried to keep my faith strong, and standing here, I can honestly say I've come back home, with my faith intact, stronger than ever. The past 2 years of my writings reflect it. Though they were full of tears, full of pain and suffering, it gave over the message that you don't abandon those who love you. That one needs to spend time crawling alone through shadows in the dark to truly appreciate what it means to stand in the sun in your presence. It's the words of the Chida. Ein ha'or nikar ela mitoch ha'choshech. The light is only recognized through the darkness. My writings chronicled the life of one who had nothing left in life but you, and managed not only to survive, but to thrive. And that's what I wanted to get at tonight. It's been a long road. I've learned to hold on, not to let go, embrace the present, to keep moving on. And now it's time for me to close that chapter of my life and move on to a brighter future. I'll forever be grateful for my past. I will forever love the light, for it showed me the way. Yet I will endure any future darkness, for it shows me the stars. It's been a long journey, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else you have in store for me. Your daughter who loves you, and she signed off her name. That's what Hanukkah is. This is it. We're done with this chapter of darkness in our lives. But to finish it, you got to end with a thank you. You got to say thank you, Hashem, for the darkness, because it's brought me to the light. Hashem should only shine light into our lives with the Gula, Amitis, B'mheir v'meinu Mashiach tzekenu, Amen v'Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Weis, for tremendous remarks.
And for the miracle, he got us to do exercise. We felt muscles after all of the donuts.
And before calling up Father Rebbetzin, we have a special surprise. We have somebody who's sharing so much light throughout the entire world. Is the organization called Daily Giving, and we have the founder over here, such a tremendous friend of Chazaq, of Ornava, of Torah Anytime. He's going to share with us a quick Hanukkah message. Without further ado, with Dr. John Adonian.
Thank you for having me. I'm only going to speak for really 3 minutes. I just want to say that if I told you that I found a way to guarantee you a mitzvah every single day, no matter what, it would take literally none of your time, 0 effort, and it would only cost $1 a day. Would you be interested? On top of that, for that $1 a day, you're going to help tens, if not hundreds of thousands of Jews around the world. That's what we figured out with dailygiving.org. I had this idea a couple years ago. I went to my local Marav Minyan and put $1 in the tzedakah box, and I thought, no matter how much money I give to tzedakah, I still get a mitzvah for this $1. So how can I guarantee myself the mitzvah of tzedakah every single day, no matter what, for $1? So we automated a platform called dailygiving.org. And you sign up, it takes about 30 seconds, and every single day we give your dollar, along with over 12,800 other Jews across the world. We give that money every day together to a different incredible organization. So today, we gave out $12,804 to United Hatzalah. Yesterday, we gave out $12,797 to Torah Anytime. And we give to Chazaq, and we give to Bonei Olam, and A-Time, and Chesed 24/7, and Sharsheret, and Bat Melech, and organizations you've never even heard of, that you're gonna, when you find out what they do, you're gonna be blown away. And so, every single day you get an email telling you where the money goes every single day. Daily Giving doesn't take a penny. 100 cents of your dollar goes to these organizations. We take nothing. And you get an email every day. You're going to find out where the money goes to, and you're going to feel part of something very, very special. What more could Hashem want than His children coming together every single day to give to their brothers and sisters who are less fortunate? So I'd like to tell you 2 quick stories, and then I'm out of here. Well, I don't have to rub so let me. My wife's here. Maybe I'll stick around. But if you only want women here, I'll leave. That's fine. But basically, I had the chus to be very close to Rabbi Wallerstein Zatzal. And he personally was responsible for over 500 people signing up for daily giving. And he used to tell me all the time, Jonathan, why are you only at 7,000? Why are you only at 10,000? And the reason is because even though I hope that something I just said made you think, oh, that was a pretty good idea, I probably should sign up. Well, it's a no-brainer. It is. It's a no-brainer, right? But from the time I tell you to the time you go home, you're literally going to forget. And I've seen this over and over and over again. I was somewhere where I spoke to 1,000 conversations with people. Over 100 of them said, this is amazing, I'm going to sign up. And they fully 100% intended to sign up. But of those over 100, only 6 did. And then people after months, after years later, people say, I meant to sign up 3 years ago. We just are very busy. So take out your phones if you don't mind. You don't have to. I'm just suggesting. It takes 30 seconds. It's dailygiving.org. Dailygiving.org. You can sign up for $31 a month or $365 a year, and you're really going to love being a part of it. So I'm just going to end with 2 quick stories, so you can, because I don't want you to be doing on your phones when the Rebbetzin speaking, but 2 quick stories. One, Rav Ben Zion Klatsiko texted me a couple months ago that he had been speaking about daily giving to a crowd of single women, and he had suggested that when they, it says that if you have something you want to for yourself, if you find someone else to daven for that same thing, or do a mitzvah for that same thing, it's a big source that thing will happen to yourself. So this woman had heard him speak, and she signed up for, she had I think she had a daughter, I think in her mid-30s, who had been dating for many years, who was single, and so she signed up for $1 a day for the chus that she found her b'sher, and then she signed up for a second $1 a day for a close friend of hers, that she should find someone. And she said she signed up on May 13th, and she met her chassan on May 20th. That's one story. I know, that's what Rabbi Klatsiko, his story, he texted me, and it's a true story. Second story also happened recently. People sign up sometimes for $1 a day for everyone in their family. It's a really nice thing to teach your kids about tzedakah. You can't necessarily tell your kids about all the checks you're writing for tzedakah, but $1 a day you can discuss. It's amazing at the Shabbos table to discuss the different organizations they find out about because they're getting the emails. And so this one gentleman signed up for $1 a day, and then 30 seconds later, another $1 came in from the same gentleman with a different email address, and then 30 seconds, another one, and he did it 5 different times. And I called him to thank him, and he said, he signed up for all his kids. And I said, oh, it's incredible. And I said, how old are your kids? And he said, they're 1, 2, and 4. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. And he said, yeah, I reserved a Gmail account so that basically what's going to happen now is when they open their emails for the first time when they're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, or whenever that is, they're going to have one email, but it's going to be repeated hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of times, and they're going to see that for the last 8, 9, 10 years, they did a mitzvah every single day. So I hope I've inspired you. I'm telling you, one day you'll look back, everyone who signs up loves it, And you're going to look back and say, that night that I went out on Hanukkah, on the third night of Hanukkah, you remember which year you signed up. And for years, Rav God Friedman always says, he says this great video he made for us. And he said, one day I went up, you're going to go up to Olam Haba, and there's going to be all these angels, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of angels. And one angel is going to say, you saved my life. And one say, you're going to help. You helped when I had power, when I was, when I couldn't, when I didn't have food, you gave me food, and all these different things. And you're just like, I don't remember doing any of these mitzvahs. And he said, you signed up for daily giving way back that one time. You forgot, but years and years ago, and every day you've been giving $1 since, you've been doing all these mitzvahs, and you have no idea the repercussions of that's going to lead to. So anyway, Chanukah Sameach, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Donat. Without further ado, we call upon the Rebbetzin, Rebbetzin Amit Yaghoubi. Thank you so much.
Yeah, right. So really, my daily giving is Rosh Hashanah. Erev Rosh Hashanah, we go back on and do it, but Chanukah, it's such a gishmak time to make that your renewal, because you renew every year, right? You have to renew every year, and that's pshat in the song. You know that Israeli song? Banu, I won't sing it now, but Banu choshech legaresh. We came to wipe out the darkness. Beyadenu or va'esh. And we have light in our hands. Kol echad hu or katan. Everybody's one little small light. Vekulanu, but all together, or eitan. We're such a strong, powerful light. And that's really what daily giving is. So definitely you have permission to be on your phones if you're going on that site right now. And if not, I'm sure you're taking notes. I get it, Okay. So, Chanukah Sameach, the Chozeh of Lublin, was speaking with Rav Baruch Mezhebush. And they were talking about their yichus. They were talking about where they came from. And the Chozeh tells him, you may be the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, but I want to tell you who I'm the grandson of. And he tells him the following story. He says there was a Jew whose name was Rabbi Kopel. And Rabbi Kopel lived in an area in Poland where there weren't many Jews around. But he needed to make a living to feed his family. And so he opened a krechma. Okay, we finished with the Ashkenazi, but now we're going to teach the Sephardim the Ashkenazi. Krechma, an inn, a bar, where people would come and they would pay for something to drink, and that was how he fed his family. But he didn't live in a Jewish area. And so his patrons were the Goyim. But you see, this Rabbi Kopel, he couldn't bear the fact that people would come into his inn and be vulgar and be drunk, and everything should be so not in Kedusha. And so what Rabbi Kopel would do is when he would serve these goyim their drinks, he would sit and he would talk to them. He would get them to tell about their lives to him. And he succeeded in shifting the feeling of this bar instead of somewhere vulgar, but rather somewhere where people could go and open up their hearts. And he was so endeared to the goyim of this town that they would come on a steady, regular basis in order to speak to the Rebbe, as they called him. And one day, a new bishop came to town. And the new bishop was waiting, for when people are going to come to do confession, to tell him all about their sins. And he says, what's going on in this town? No one's coming for confession. No one is coming. What's going on? And somebody tells him, oh, honored bishop, everybody goes to the Rebbe over there in the bar, and everyone confesses. Don't worry, we're very, very good Christians. Everyone confesses, but they confess to the Rebbe, and they call him the Rebbe. So the bishop is horrified. What? To a Jew? And can it be? And he gets up. It was right before Pesach time. And he gets up and there's seats on this side. There you go. Now you have to walk. He gets up and he makes an announcement to his people. And he says, anyone who buys chametz from this Jew, I am telling you, the Lord spoke to me. He's destined on a one-way ticket straight to Gehenna. And of course, when the bishop gets up in front of everyone and promises them where they might go if they do such a thing, everyone is shaking and quaking in fear. And the Rebbe, Rabbi Koppel, has no idea that this decree has been made. He's waiting for his neighbor, the non-Jew, who always comes on Erev Pesach to sign the papers with him. That was the agreement that they had. And it's Erev Pesach, and he's waiting. When is his neighbor going to come? And it's getting later. And so he says, what's going on? Soon it's going to be time to sell the chametz. And he goes to his neighbor's house. And he says to his neighbor, here's the contract. Remember, you always buy from me. It's today. And the neighbor says, Rabbi, I'm so sorry to tell you, but the bishop made this decree. Rabbi, I can't risk it. And to be honest with you, I don't think anybody in this town will. So we're talking now about hours before the Zman of Mechirat Chametz. Rabbi Koppel realizes what's at stake. He loads all his bottles of whiskey, Chametz Gamor, he loads it all onto the wagon, and he drives out to the lake side, and he begins to unload all his barrels and bottles of alcohol. And then he turns up to Shamayim and he says, Ribono shel Olam, you should know that I give this to you with all my heart. I don't want to have chametz on Pesach. I do this mitzvah belev shalem. And he turns around and he leaves all his merchandise on the shore. And he goes home, and he was the real deal. The whole Pesach, it didn't even enter his mind. The minute Pesach is over, it hits him, and he realizes, okay, so he had taken the alcohol from his creditor. He takes it on credit. Then when he sells it, he buys for his shipment that he has. So he's thinking to himself, what am I going to tell this creditor when he comes? What am I going to tell him? And he realizes, you know what? I don't have the money to pay. He's going to kill me. I need to figure out a way to get up and get out of town. I have to run for my life. What am I going to do? And as he's outside thinking how he's going to pack up his life, how he's going to get out of the town, how he's going to escape by his skin, one of the non-Jews comes to him and says, Rabbi, and gives him a little tap on the back and says, I didn't know you were such a rich man. And the rabbi smirks and he says, you know, the irony of at such a time in my life where mamish, I'm suffering so much that he's calling me a rich man, and he's looking at him like, what are you talking about? And he says, what do you mean, what am I talking about? You have 100 of Cossacks watching your liquor on the lakeside. How did you get the money to hire them all? So he can't believe it. Hashem made a miracle. He runs to the lakeside and he sees that all of these soldiers are there guarding it. It's clearly a miracle. But now listen, here's the piece of the story. That was a miracle, Geshmak, but now listen to this miracle. The rabbi comes, he sees all of them, and he turns up to Shamayim and he says, Ribono shel Olam, I know that halachically I'm allowed to take all of this. I made it hefker before. I'm allowed to take ownership of it. And he says, but Hashem, never in my life did I do an act of Mesiras Nefesh the way I did right before Pesach. And he says, Hashem, I never felt closer to you in my life than that moment. I gave all of this to you, belev shalem. And he says, Ribono shel Olam, if you want to make me rich, please do so in another way, because I don't want to become rich from this whiskey. I gave it already to you. Says the Chazaq of Lublin that his grandfather told him at that moment, he heard a bas kol, he heard a voice from Shamayim that said, go Rabbi Koppel, not only will I make you very wealthy from other ways, but your daughter will give birth to a son who will light up the world. And said the Chazaq of Lublin, that grandson is me. The Chazaq of Lublin was called Chazaq, the seer, because he was able to see everything. He was able to see everything that was going on in you, in the world. And we say, wow, imagine if we could have that. And comes Chanukah and Hashem says, through the light of the menorah, you can touch upon the ability to see. But what happens when we all know when you stare at the candles and you can go and you can get clarity? And if you don't know, there's a million shiurim. Listen to about what you're supposed to do when you're searching when you're looking at the candles. But what happens, my friends, when Hanukkah is over? If we don't already go back to the Beis HaMikdash and already rededicate to the Mizbech, you already have that feeling like the third night, like, oh my gosh, why is it going so quickly? Why is it going so fast? And then here we go, we have to come out at night and like, we're leaving the menorah. You already have that feeling like, what's going to be? So what happens? Only Hanukkah, I have those lights and I can see and I can be able to clear my eyes. And so Chachamim tell us that it's not just the lights of Hanukkah, although those give us something very, very special, but the power of Hanukkah. The power of Hanukkah is lehodot ulehalel. And if we take the message of Hanukkah with us throughout the year, that is the best Hanukkah gift you can get. The best Hanukkah present is learning how to say thank you. And in fact, that is one of the reasons why there's a minhag to give money, which we kind of made into presents. Why do we do it? We do it for children. We do it, and it's not the Hanukkah Harry and all of that shtuyot. That's not us. We don't do that. I'm sorry but okay, I won't go into that. But we do give gifts to children. Do you know why? To teach them how to say thank you. To give them the real gift, which is to learn how to say thank you. So let's see, what can we do to take the gift of Hanukkah? Question. It was asked to Reb Zilberstein. There was a man, and he was incarcerated, he was in prison. And he was begging the warden to have a little bit of time off during Hanukkah to be able to get out of jail under supervision and have a small furlough. And for many, many, many months he was begging, and finally the warden tells him, I'm giving you half an hour on Hanukkah. Half an hour that you're going to be allowed to leave the prison, and then you have to report back. You can tell me whichever half an hour you want to leave. And so he sends the question to Rav Zilberstein. What should I leave for? I could leave at night so that I can go and I can light the candles. But I have another option also. He says there's no minyan over here. I can leave in the morning and I can daven Hallel. Hanukkah is full Hallel. I can daven Hallel with the minyan. Which one should I do? What do you think? Should he go out for candle lighting? Should he go out for Hallel? Says Rav Zilberstein, you should go out for sure for Hallel. Because what a Jew can accomplish with a thank you is infinitely greater than what they can accomplish with their menorah. So now I ask you, can you imagine if when we light our menorah, we dedicate time to sit and to dance and to say thank you with simcha? What we could do, it's like a thank you and a Hanukkah candles, like, whoa, miracles happening all over. Because that is where we can get our strength. What sometimes is what blocks us from feeling that thank you? And maybe I can say the words, but blocks me from being able to go into the thank you. It's one word. The word is yeush. Yeush, which means despair or hopelessness. Yeush, which is our biggest enemy. It is the enemy of Yavan. Yavan was Yeush very quickly because the Yud, and then the Vav is a little longer, and then the Nun is much longer. Yavan's whole idea was to drag us into a vortex of sadness and to just keep us down there in the blackness. You remember the story when Avram Avinu is going to fight the 4 kings and the 5 kings because Lot has been captured, and he goes with 318 soldiers. Remember? And Rashi tells us it wasn't really 318 soldiers. Who was it? It was Eliezer, who's Gematria 318. And just the two of them, they're able to what? win the entire war. Wow, unbelievable, incredible. So I want to ask you, why didn't the Torah just tell us he went with Eliezer? Why does it tell us he went with 318 people, but really it's just Eliezer? So listen to what the Medrash says. The Medrash says that he really did have 318 people who said, we're going to come with you. And then Avram Avinu got up and he said, well, here's the halacha of a war. If you're scared, if you don't have full hope, you have to go home. And you know what? 317 of those people went home. You know what's the gematria of 317? The word Yeush, despair. Eliezer was the 318th man. He was the one who said, I'm not scared. I'm going b'shem Hashem. Just like David HaMelech says to Goliath. Just like the Ma'atim, the few, say to the many. You're coming with all of your paraphernalia? I'm coming with Shem Hashem. You're coming with all of your, anti-Semitism, this, that, we need to do that. We're coming with Shem Hashem. When you come and you see something that scares you in the news, of course, yes, we have to do ishtadlus here and there, a regular ishtadlus, but you know what the biggest ishtadlus that a yid does? Is she digs into her reservoirs. She finds the 318, that one notch above Yeush, and she calls out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says to him, thank you for all of the times you've saved us in the past. Hashem, you have never forsaken us, Ribono Shel Olam. You are truly ne'eman. You are loyal. If you've never forsaken us, why should now be any different? Help us, Hashem, v'anachnu b'shem Hashem nazkir. That was the call of the Maccabees. That's the call of a Jew whenever she's engulfed in darkness. Rabbi Per says a story of he had to go through a surgery, and because it was a delicate surgery, he made sure to find the best doctor, and he was in the best hospital, and all of the connections that Klal Yisrael has to make sure that he was going to have the best room and it was going to be on the best day, and like all of the situations that it should really, really be good. And he goes through the surgery, and unfortunately the surgery is not successful. And the surgeon comes into his room as he's recovering. And he already knows that the surgery is not successful, but this is the first time the surgeon is now going to speak to him about what went wrong. And of course, it's always a difficult conversation when the doctor has to say, I didn't get it right this time, even though I'm the specialist. And the doctor comes in and he says, listen, the surgery didn't go as I hoped it would, and I'm sorry, Rabbi. And the rabbi stops him. And the rabbi tells him, no. You didn't mess up this surgery. And he goes, well, listen, if you don't want me to take the blame, I'm okay. He says, but he waits till him to say it. And the rabbi says, I messed up this surgery. Now this he's never heard before, the surgeon. How did you mess up the surgery, Rabbi? He says, before this surgery, I was sure I have the best doctor, in the best hospital, on the best day, with the best team of nurses. Everything is the best. Nothing can go wrong. He says, I messed up this surgery because I put my full faith in you. And I forgot that he has a play in this as well. Va'ani b'chasdecha batachti. I believe in your chesed. What's bitachon? Bitachon means, Hashem, I know that everything you do is chesed. It might be difficult for me to understand. It might be painful. And specifically when I'm going through the difficult times, I have to keep repeating to myself, Va'ani b'chasdecha batachti. I believe, Hashem, that this is your chesed. I believe it's your chesed. If it's chesed, thank you. Thank you for this. I don't understand it. V'ha'er enenu. Lighten my eyes so that I can understand it. But even if I don't understand it, Va'ani b'chasdecha batachti. And then, Yagel libi b'shuatecha. My heart can rejoice with your salvation. We're in the parashiyot of the dreams, Yosef's dreams, Lahavdil, Paro's dreams. Paro has a dream of 7 cows, 7 very skinny, scrawny cows. And they come and they swallow up the fat, post-Hanukkah eating donut cows. And Paro is in a panic. And nobody can interpret the dream the right way. And every interpretation that comes, he says, no, this is not good. Until Yosef comes and he gives an interpretation, which Lamais, it seems like once we hear his interpretation, it seems like a pretty simple thing anyone could have come up with. What does Yosef say? He says there's going to be a tremendous famine following tremendous goodness. Why? How did he know that that's what it was? And the answer is, because when a skinny cow comes and swallows something big, but doesn't feel full, doesn't feel happy, then that feeling of satiation will be taken away. Yosef HaTzadik was saying that when an entire country doesn't have a karas hatov for the 7 years of plenty, they will for sure be followed by the 7 years of famine. The greatest hishtadlus that a Jew can do in her life is to turn her eyes to Shamayim and say thank you. Is to turn her eyes to the people who live in her house, to the people who she works with, to the people who she passes by, and say thank you. It's not for their sake, it's for our sake. When I feel thank you, I feel full, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I will continue to make sure that you will feel full. And so just like Rabbi Koppel was able to do an act with Mesiras Nefesh, and he loved that mitzvah, we come this Hanukkah and we say, what can I do with Mesiras Nefesh? What is something, and each one of us knows what we can do. For each of us, it's different. Maybe it's to be mevater in a certain relationship that we were being very, very stubborn with. Maybe it's to make a little bit more time for tefillah, even though we really, really want to sleep, or we're not even sleeping. We don't have time for nothing, but to find time for tefillah. What can we do with Mesiras Nefesh this Hanukkah? So that Yehiratzon, we can hear the bas kol from Shamayim, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will tell each of us, I'm bringing in a light and or into this world, the likes that you've never seen. Mashiach is Rashi Tevos, Madlikin, Shmonat, Yemei, Chanukah. That during this Chanukah we can bring the Mashiach into this world. Mashiach is Otiyot Yismach. Yismach Moshe b'matnat chelko. Yismach to make someone else besimcha, to experience simcha. Yehiratzon. We should have the true simcha, simcha shel mitzvah, that our eyes should have the clarity to see like a Jew sees. V'ani b'chastecha batachti, and that each one of us, all of Klal Yisrael, should feel Yagel libi b'yeshuatecha, with Yeshuot v'niflaot, Chanukah Sameach. On that note, we are going together to say Nishmat Kol Chai. We have the sheets. Everyone has them in front of them. Nishmat Kol Chai. If everybody could please stand up. And just before we begin the Nishmat Kol Chai, I do want to say that I run a program for high school girls that are in public school. If you know any girls that are in public school, 11th and 12th grade, we are opening up the new semester right after January. Please, please, please have them be in touch with me. We're going to take them, Amit Hashem, they come once a week to learning, and then we take them on great trips, and then Amit Hashem take them to Eretz Yisrael. This year we were Zeicha, a bunch of them went to Eretz Yisrael for seminary. So please, 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 call up anybody who you know that knows somebody that has someone who's in public school. Please have them get in touch with me. Okay, so all together, and have in mind something that you're feeling thankful for as we're saying it. And Hashem should give us many more. Beyachad. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu. Veruach kol basar tefaer uteromem zichrecha malkeinu tamid. Min haolam ve'ad haolam ata el. ומבלעדיך אין לנו מלך, גואל ומושיע, פודה ומציל, ומפרנס ומרחם בכל עת, צרה וצוקה. אין לנו מלך, עוזר וסומך אלא אתה. אלוהי הראשונים והאחרונים, אלוה כל בריות, אדון כל תולדות, המהולל ברוב התשבחות, המנהג עולמו בחסד ובריאותיו ברחמים, ואדוני לא ינום ולא ישן, המעורר ישנים והמקיץ נרדמים, והמסיח אילמים, והמתיר אסורים והסומך נופלים, הזוקף כפופים, לך לבדך אנחנו מודים. אילופינו מלא שיר הקיים, ולשוננו רינה כהמון גלב, ושפתותינו שבח כמרחבי רקיע, ועינינו מאירות כשמש וכירח, וידינו פרוסות כנשרי שמיים, ורגלינו קלות כאיילות. אין אנחנו מספיקים להודות לך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, ולברך את שמך על אחת מאלף אלפי אלפים וריבי רבבות פעמים הטובות שעשית עם אבותינו ועמנו. ממצרים גאלתנו אדוני אלוהינו, ומבית עבדים פדיתנו, ברעב זנתנו ובסבא קלקלתנו, מחרב הצלתנו ומדבר מילתתנו, ומחולאים רעים ונאמנים דיליתנו. עד הנה עזרונו רחמך, ולא עזבונו חסדיך, ואל תדשנו אדוני אלוהינו לנצח. על כן איברים שפילגת בנו, ורוח ונשמה שנפחת באפינו, ולשון אשר שמת בפינו, הן הם יודו ויברכו וישבחו ויפארו וירוממו ויעריצו ויקדישו וימליכו את שמך מלכנו. כי כל פה לך יודע, וכל לשון לך תשבע, וכל ברך לך תכרע, וכל קומה לפניך תשתחווה, וכל לבבות יראוך, וכל קרב וכליות יזמרו לשמך, כדבר שנאמר, קל עצמותיי תאמרנה, אדוני מי כמוך, מציל אני מחזק ממנו, ואני ואביון מגוזלו. מי ידמה לך ומי ישווה לך ומי יערוך לך? האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, קונה שמיים והארץ, נהללך ונשבח ונפארך ונברך את שם קודשך כאמור לדוד. ברכי נפשי את אדוני וכל קרובי את שם קדשו. May it be accepted. May we have so many things to thank Hashem for, and we should have zuchus to be able to thank Berabim. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Chazaq.